In this video, I'm going to show you one of the most powerful and easiest things that you can do to make your videos more entertaining to watch, which will lead them to get more views and go more viral, and of course make you more money. And that is the music you play during your videos. Now on the surface, choosing the right music may sound like an easy thing, but you would be surprised at just how common it is for beginners or new video editors that you hire to mess up and choose a wrong song that kind of just kills the vibe of a video. So to show you just what I mean, we're going to play the first few seconds of this recent video of mine that got over 600,000 views on my channel with 1.8 million subscribers, and just pay attention to the music. On the morning of January 5th, 1996, a phone rang in a quiet house in Beit Lahia, a small city in the Gaza Strip. Yahya Ayeshe, also known as the engineer, picked up.
How are you, father?
So obviously a really dramatic, really suspenseful video that did really well. But now I'm gonna play you this exact same video, but with just one minor change to it. On the morning of January 5th, 1996, a phone rang in a quiet house in Beit Lahia, a small city in the Gaza Strip. Yahya Ayeshe, also known as the engineer, picked up.
How are you, father?
So as you can see, just by changing the song on the exact same video, it makes the entire video feel kind of off, right? Like, why are we playing this dramatic, epic, heroic sounding song that a lot of beginner video editors tend to use on a video that's supposed to be like, you know, pretty dark? It doesn't match the vibe of what we're talking about, and that disconnect, even if viewers may not be able to like say that, hey, this video feels off because of the song, they're definitely going to feel it, and that's going to make them click off of the video and go watch some other video, and then you lose out on that viewership and that money, all for choosing the wrong song. And again, you would be shocked at how common this is. I've reviewed probably hundreds, if not maybe over 1,000 videos from beginners at this point, whether it's faceless or normal YouTube videos, and one of the most common pieces of feedback I give people on a daily basis is, hey, you got to change the song because it sounds really off. I've hired and tested probably over 100 editors by this point, and the same thing, one of the most common pieces of feedback I give editors, even if their video editing skills are good, is you got to get better at picking the right songs, because the wrong song, even with an incredible edit like this, is really going to kill the retention and how profitable the video is going to be. So that's why in this video, I'm just going to give you the shortcut on how I find the right music for my videos that has generated me millions of dollars over the last 7-8 years of doing this professionally. And it's really easy too. I'm literally just going to give you the genres to choose from. I'm just going to tell you what types of songs to use for what types of videos and where to find it, copyright free music, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. So before we get into the genres, what's important to understand so that we're on the same page is that the reason why any video goes viral, whether it's a Mr. Beast video, whether it's one of my darker documentaries, whether it's a Q Owl video, the reason why any of them go viral is that they take the viewer from boredom and they elicit some sort of emotion out of them. So when you watch a Q Owl video, you feel that cute emotion that makes you want to share it and stuff. When you watch a Mr. Beast video, you feel excitement. And music is one of the easiest ways to help you elicit more emotion out of viewers. By knowing how to choose the right music, we can make our videos more emotional, which will make them more viral. So that's the power of it. And there are a lot of places you can get music, but I've used a lot of them. And the one I always go back to is epidemicsound.com. Of all the paid and free platforms that I've tried, I found that Epidemic has the most movie level quality soundtracks, movie level music all in one place. And there's a huge library of it too. Some of the other ones are good, but the library is pretty small. But Epidemic just has like an infinite amount of songs to choose from. So that's what I'm going to be showing you in this video. And if you want to follow along, I'll leave a link to Epidemic Sound below so you can follow along to the genres that I show you. If you want to stick to free options, there's the YouTube audio library, and you can also just search on YouTube for copyright free music. There's a ton of channels that provide copyright free music, but you're going to have to sort through a lot of bad and really generic sounding songs to find good ones, but it's definitely possible. That's how I started on YouTube. I started by using these channels that have copyright free music to use. But the problem I ran into is that, one, again, the selection is not the best. And two, sometimes that artist that, you know, gave the song for free to that channel, maybe they sign a record deal in the future and now the song is copyrighted, and then you get a copyright ding on your video that you thought was free. So it's not the end of the world, but use it at your own risk. Now let's just get straight into the genres that I like to use for all different types of videos. So the first one we're going to go over is this type of song. that we're gonna watch from one of my old videos.
Blackwater's been in the news a lot lately. You're probably familiar with them. They're the private security contracting firm that works in Iraq protecting diplomats and ambassadors, primarily for the State Department.
The company formerly known as Blackwater will always be...
So you hear this type of music a lot in like high production, dramatic sounding documentaries on YouTube. And it's what I call documentary music, or I believe the actual genre for it is called drone music. So you just search for drone and there's a genre on Epidemic. And here you can find music that, you know, kind of has this rhythmic pulse to it that feels really dramatic, that creates a lot of suspense and tension. And then what I'll do is I'll sort by moods and I'll click on suspense or dark or mysterious. And then that's how you're going to find songs kind of like this. Again, great sounding song that I've probably used before. That sounds like it would go in like a documentary like this on YouTube. So even if we like play it right now.
Be linked to the first decade of the so-called War on Terror. And it should, because it made billions of dollars off it. The invasion...
You can tell it's really fitting already. So what you can do is, you know, I'll link to this exact song below. What you can do is click on it and then go to similar tracks right below here. And this is how you can easily find a lot of tracks that sound really similar to this. So you don't have to reuse a song or like struggle to find similar ones. So that's also a good one. So again, I'll link to this below for you to check out, and I'll also just link to the genre page for drone as well for your convenience. All right, for the next type of video, let's say you're not making a documentary. Let's say you're making a video on like future technology or something about the future like that. What I call like futuristic style videos. Kind of like this video of mine that I made a while back. So just check out the music on this. Of exploding into trillions of dollars. So sit back, relax, and welcome to the quantum gold rush. In 1956, so yeah, I made this video 6 years ago, and just rewatching this, it still hits me really hard. Like you feel the emotion of just like the title screen being perfectly synced up to the drums of this song, Gold Rush. Like it just feels satisfying when you hear that and when you see that together. That's the power of choosing the right song. So for this genre, you're gonna look up Synthwave. So you're gonna go music, view all genres. You can just search for Synthwave and let's see what we find. Yeah, very similar emotion to this song as the one I just showed you. So again, this is a really great example. We can open it up and find similar tracks as well. So yeah, this song creates kind of like the same emotion of the song I just showed you that I use in this video. So this is a great option for you to use. Let's see if we can find one more. This one still has that futuristic vibe, but it has a little bit more of a laid back feeling, which could be great for the topic that you're covering. So another great example, Cyberline. Now the next style of song I'm gonna show you, I think is really unique. I don't see many people using it, but I've always loved using this style of song, this genre of song, whenever I can. So let's check out this big video of mine. So you're a plastic company. You've teamed up with oil companies to create a miracle product that can do pretty much anything. It's cheap, durable, easily accessible, and easy to mass produce. What more could you ask for?
I know, I feel like I'm dreaming.
And by the 1980s, you're in your prime. The only problem is So this style of song, this genre of song is called sneaking. So if we just search for sneaking, click on the mood, you're gonna find a ton of songs like this. And what I love about this style of song is that it's really unexpected and it has a really fun, comical vibe to it. It's almost like the songs used in like old cartoons. And I love to use this style of song when maybe I'm doing like a sarcastic part, kind of like this, talking about if you're one of these plastic companies, you invented recycling to like fool people. I found it great for those types of scenes. So if you're making a video where there's a comedic element to it, or there's sarcasm to it, or you're talking about something dark, but you want to have like a more unique feel to the video, this is a great option, and I think it's pretty underutilized. Now let's move on to the next genre in what I call period correct. So let's check out what this sounds like.
So you're DuPont in the late 1930s. You're a chemical company that's been around for more than 100 years. Any company that's existed for that amount of time should have made a name for itself ages ago. But even though you're doing well, you just haven't really popped off yet. That was until 1938.
So we're talking about like the early 1900s. So we play a song that sounds kind of like it's from that period. And again, what I love about using the style of like period correct songs is that one, it makes your video feel a lot more unique. Number two, it kind of transports the viewer back into the setting or the era of what you're talking about. And it doesn't have to be just, you know, time-based songs that sound like they're from the 50s. If you're talking about the 50s, it can also be, if you're talking about Asia, you can use some Asian sounding song, or same thing with Africa, or any of the other geographical regions. And all you gotta do to find this stuff is go to music, view all, and then you can go to sort by decade. So let's say we're talking about something in the 70s. Let's see what shows up if we click on 1970s. Yeah, so many great options. This is a really cool sounding song that kind of gives you like an off-putting vibe in a good way. If you're talking about something maybe dark from the 1970s. Like the mean streets back then, the corruption back then or something like that. Or something more laid back like this song. And yeah, just think about how much more depth this adds to your video versus just using another generic inspirational song or one of those generic dramatic songs that sounds like you're watching a fight scene from like the climax of an action movie. This gives your video so much more like feel to it. And there's so many other options too. If you're making a video like a historical video on like the medieval times or the Renaissance times, there's a ton of options for that. Great sounding song. Sounds like it's like a movie soundtrack again, but you know, in a fitting way. And then there's also world countries. You can look up individual countries like Brazil. For us, maybe we should try maybe Irish music. Let's see what they have. If you're making a video on Ireland, this is perfect. Or maybe you're making a video on Asia. Like a modern video on Japan would be really nice with this song. Or you can do really Asian sounding stuff like this. So again, so many options. The next genre is one that a lot of people use, but I don't see a lot of people using well. So let's take a listen.
Now. Julian Assange was born in Australia in 1970.
So classical music. A lot of people use generic sounding classical music in not best situations, but if you use it right, it's very nice. It gives kind of like a classy feel depending on the song you use. So you can find more modern classical stuff like this. And you can find more traditional classical stuff like actual Beethoven or Mozart stuff. So again, in the right situations, classical music can be exactly what you need.
71. And by just 16 years old, he was already a hacker. Under the codename Mendax, Assange broke into some pretty huge organizations. What does the Pentagon...
Like here we're talking about the early days of Julian Assange, so I thought it was really fitting for it. So that's classical. The next genre to use is horror. And this can be really cool and a great replacement for generic, dramatic sounding music.
So you're the heads of China. It's a well-known fact that you have the ambition.
So this video is obviously over something really dark. So I thought it was really appropriate to use a straight up horror soundtrack. So we search for horror and you're gonna get a ton of great stuff. That again sounds really unique. It's not something that a lot of people use. And it just creates so much suspense. So let's try playing this during my video.
Over the world and you're growing at a very fast rate. One of the ways you're funding your goal of world domination is with your Belt and Road Initiative.
I forgot about that part. But yeah, this song works so well playing during that video. Here is another example of using horror.
In October 2000, the president of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, announced they would no longer be selling oil in US dollars, only in euros. Which on the surface...
So again, another suspenseful horror soundtrack that just creates so much tension and emotion as you're watching that video. Like this one's super creepy. For the right video, that would really kill. All right, so another genre I'm gonna give you is what's called lo-fi. So let's watch this video again.
Even if you're not on a kill or capture list and you're not doing anything illegal, having all your browsing history logged and linked to you by your internet provider so it's available to governments and hackers is probably not a good idea. That's where
So one of these lo-fi hip hop beats can sound really good when you're trying to either like break up kind of the monotony of the video. Like here we're transitioning to a sponsor spot. So I kind of want to indicate that to the viewer by using, kind of a chill song to indicate that, we're in a different part of the video. So that's one option. Another option is to do what some channels do, like this channel, where he plays lo-fi music during the entire thing. So some channels can get away with this, where the entire time they're just playing really simple lo-fi music so they don't have to put much thought into it, but lo-fi kind of always sounds good.
He did this in the 6th round against Javier Fortuna when he knocked him out with his signature left hook. And what seems like tradition at this point, Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, that's the great thing about lo-fi. It's very low effort for you to use lo-fi, but it kind of always sounds good. It always gives you what you're expecting, that really chill vibe. I used lo-fi a lot when I was first starting out, and the great thing about it is that there's a lot of channels that post free lo-fi to use. And I definitely did that at the start too. I did run into instances of that copyright problem I mentioned earlier from those free channels, but there's also a ton of lo-fi on Epidemic. It should be underneath Lofi Hip Hop. Yeah, a lot of these songs kind of just make you feel like, it's a good, warm, cozy day. So you can never go wrong with lo-fi. Now, one thing I will say is that there are some songs you should avoid even on platforms like Epidemic Sound. And one example is from my BlackRock video.
Another giant financial firm by the name of BlackRock, led by a very well-connected billionaire by the name of Larry Fink. BlackRock was awarded these key government contracts to help with the...
So I don't know if that song sounds familiar to you if you watch a lot of YouTube, but back when I was using it in this video, it wasn't very common. Now you kind of hear the song being used everywhere, and it might be because it's probably just one of the top results that show up when you search for suspenseful music or something. So I would just watch out for that. If you find a song on here that you feel like you've heard a lot before, I would just avoid that, because again, we want to make our videos feel not generic, and using one of these repetitive generic songs that everyone else uses kind of makes your video come off a little generic. And then I would of course avoid super overly dramatic music, especially when it isn't really called for based on what you're talking about in your video. And this goes for Epidemic, this goes for a lot of the free dramatic music you find on YouTube for free. For example, there are very few scenarios where I would use a song like this. Because again, it sounds like the climax of an action movie, and most of the time you're not making a very climaxy action video. But again, a lot of beginners and beginner editors use this, even good editors that you hire. So for example, just see how weird this would sound if I played it during this video.
I plan to make it easier for you. much more by partnering with nearly 70 countries. Because you're growing so much, your energy demands for electricity, oil, etc. are high.
So obviously you can see the problem with that. And in general, you just want to choose songs that kind of fit what you're talking about. Now, one question I get sometimes is how often should you be switching songs in your videos? Well, the easiest method is if you're running a channel where you can just play kind of like lo-fi music the entire time, you can just play the same song or just switch to a different song when the song ends. So that's probably the easiest option. But for a lot of videos, you're going to want to switch songs. I would say at least every other section of the video, because when you switch songs, it gives the viewer a new interesting thing to kind of make the video more interesting and for them to stick around. It kind of breaks up, again, the monotony of the video, and it keeps them stimulated. The more advanced version of this is to change the song whenever there's a change in the story, whether that's the end of a section or you're in the middle of a section, but you introduce some drama to the video in the scripts. So you switch songs and it kind of indicates a switch in the story. And again, it keeps the viewer stimulated and interested in the video. What you see in a lot of really high level YouTube videos that take a lot of editing and a lot of planning and a lot of effort is they'll sometimes switch songs for a few seconds, maybe for just like one sentence, especially in videos like Eric or sometimes Mr. Beast. You see them do that a lot just because, again, music is such a powerful tool to elicit emotion and keep the viewer interested that at that level, you want to use, every tool you've got to keep the video interesting. And a personal example is a new channel I've started called You Can Just Do Things, where I'm actually on camera. And this video, me and my editor, we planned out like what every song is going to be for each part of the video. Like for this part of this section, we're going to play this song. We chose it first. Then we're going to switch to this song. Then for like this one sentence, we're going to play this like funny song just to, again, keep it interesting and keep the viewer's emotions high. Because again, that's how powerful music is. So hopefully by now you can see the value of being able to choose the right songs. And now you have pretty much most of the genres that I see being used in videos, whether it's my videos or on other genres on YouTube. And now you kind of have another lens to look through when you're watching your video. Like, are you choosing the right song? Is the song generating the right emotion out of the viewer to keep them engaged? Maybe we can make the video a little bit more interesting by changing the song here and stuff like that. So hopefully by now you can see the value of being able to choose the right song. And now you have different genres to choose from for pretty much most of the styles of music that I hear being played in successful videos on YouTube. And again, I'll link to all of the different genres and all the different songs I pointed out with the link below, so you can find similar songs to them. And in general, it's my belief that if you have something that you believe should be heard, that you believe people should know about, then it's your job to package it in a way to make it the most appealing, the most viral it can be. And that packaging that's most effective today just happens to be long form YouTube videos. And to make a video more interesting and more palatable and more viral, one tool you have that's very easy to do is just by choosing the right music. So that's how powerful this stuff is, guys. And on this channel, I make videos whenever I see something that's not talked about enough in the world of creating profitable content. I'll make a video on it just like this one. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I can make a video on it, but that's going to wrap it up and I'll see you in the next one.